Hi, I'm Renee, the career coach, an HR professional, recruiter, and career strategist. And I'm helping you with job search tips and career advice that will help you land a job that you're truly excited about. In this video, I'm going to be addressing a very controversial topic within the hiring industry, and that is job hopping. I'm going to be addressing whether or not it's good for your career. And stick around to the end because I'm going to be going over 6 ways to address being a job hopper if you find yourself labeled as one. Here on this channel, I am sharing loads of career advice that is helpful for both career professionals and job seekers. So if that's you, consider subscribing. So what exactly is job hopping? This is when somebody spends a little amount of time in one career and then makes a quick switch into another career. Now, people are labeled as job hoppers when a lot of their career history and their full resume looks like this, where they've spent just a little amount of time in one position before jumping into the next. So is job hopping good or is it bad? Honestly, it depends. Now, I will say that as a recruiter working very closely with hiring managers, one of the biggest reasons why I've seen hiring managers reject candidates is because their resume displays this job hopping mentality, or they look like they're a job hopper. But why do hiring managers give job hopping such a bad reputation? And I'll tell you, it's because they believe one of 3 things. Either they think this person has been hired into all these jobs, and once they're hired into this company, the company doesn't like them, they don't do a good job, and so they've booted them. Or they think this person has commitment issues, and they cannot stay in one place for too long. Or they think that you just don't know what you want. And so you've jumped into one career and then the next and then the next, not liking anything about it. And truth be told, hiring managers get a huge red flag when they see job hoppers because they're worried that you're going to do the same thing to them. And hiring somebody is not an easy task. It costs a lot of money and time and effort. And so when they see that you're a job hopper, that's a big risk for them, and they don't want to take that risk. However, job hopping is not always a bad thing. You have to think about it from the candidate's perspective, from your perspective. It's not always bad to jump from one job to the other, especially if you're coming from a work environment that was very unhealthy, or maybe it's in your best interest to get out of one company, join another, and have a great career trajectory, make more money, and reach those career goals of yours in a shorter amount of time. I mean, think about it. There are always recruiters on LinkedIn that are reaching out to different people, poaching them to try and get them to leave their current organization and come join theirs. So in my opinion, it does not make sense that hiring managers won't look at specific resumes because it looks like they're a job hopper when their own hiring departments are reaching out to candidates, trying to get them to leave their current organization and join theirs. Truthfully, if an employee loves their job, if they love where they work, the people, the environment, they're not going to leave. So a lot of the times, the reason why somebody leaves an organization is not because of who they are and their bad habits of jumping from one thing to the next, not knowing what they want. A lot of the times, it's because of the organizations not treating them well, not paying them fairly, and so they'll leave. However, if you are just job hopping to job hop, and you just want to see what else is out there, and it's hard to tie you down, and you really don't know what you want, then that's where the problem is. That is why people are labeled as job hoppers, and hiring managers don't like looking at their resume. And that's where it's more on the person rather than the organization. And I think this is where hiring managers get this stereotype and label all job hoppers as the same, and they just don't want to deal with it. And so that's why they eliminate all job hoppers altogether. So if you are labeled as a job hopper, how do you address this? How do you ultimately create better opportunities for yourself when hiring managers and recruiters are looking at your resume and labeling you as a job hopper? Here are 6 ways that you can address it and hopefully move past it and create better opportunities for yourself. Number 1, make sure that you are very intentional about the career moves that you do make. If you are needing to make a career move, make sure that it is to either better your career trajectory or to get you out of an unhealthy organization. Not because you just want to see what other companies are out there or because you're not really sure if you love what you're doing. Make sure that you're intentional about what moves you're making. Number 2, on your resume, leave off short-term transitional jobs that you've had. For example, I once had a job that was a horrible, unhealthy work environment, and I needed to get out as soon as possible. So I actually quit my job without having any other backup. But I still needed to pay the bills, and so I went and got a job at Trader Joe's. But I never put Trader Joe's on my resume because I was only there for like 3 months. So instead of having a transition from this one unhealthy career that I was in for 9 months and then a job at Trader Joe's for 3 months, I just went ahead and left it off. 1, I don't want to be a grocer long term, and that's not really a career goal for me. But also, that pattern really shows the habit of a job hopper. Being in one job for 9 months, and then 3 months, and then, as I'm applying for other jobs, hoping that it's a good long-term fit, I didn't want them seeing that little stint wondering, what the heck is she doing? Here's the thing. If you feel like you're in a job that's not a good fit or an unstable environment, then get out sooner rather than later. Because it's always better to have that short gap rather than a long gap. Say, for example, I stayed in that Trader Joe's job for a whole year and I never put it on my resume, then I have a whole year gap rather than just a 3-month gap. Number 3, when writing out your resume, make sure that you include the month and the year. A lot of the times people will just include the year, especially if they are labeled as a job hopper, because they just want to make it seem like they aren't as much of a job hopper as they really are. But recruiters can usually see into this, and they usually feel like you're hiding something if you just have the years listed. So it's better to be straightforward about this and list the month and the year rather than just the year, even if it shows that you were only in a situation for 6 months and then 9 months. Again, it's better to be straightforward about this. Number 4, on your resume, go ahead and put why you left a certain situation. Now, there is a huge caveat here, and that is that only do this if the company went out of business or it was a short-term contract role. Certain situations that you didn't really have control over as to why you left the job. This will really help tell your full story a lot better, and it will make more sense to the recruiter, and they won't have to go digging for what your situation was, or first glance at your resume, they won't ignore it because they'll see what the whole situation was. Number 5, in the interview, share how this situation is different for you. Be ready to address why you haven't really stayed in other positions for very long. You don't need to prepare a whole speech or focus a lot of your time and energy on discussing this one topic. You just need to be able to address it because it's going to come up, and then be ready to just move on. Number 6, focus more on where you're going rather than where you've been. When addressing how you've moved around quite a bit in your past, focus your emphasis on the future and how this position aligns with your long-term career goals and how you're planning to stay with a company for a long time. This is going to go a long way. I hope all of this was very helpful for you as you are trying to decide, is job hopping good or bad for my career? And I hope it was helpful for you knowing 6 different ways that you can address it if you find yourself being labeled as a job hopper. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up, and of course, hit that subscribe button if you want more content like this. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. And of course, I will see you in my next video.